All right, what's up, boys and girls? We're back with another SoulCast, moving right along, dwindling down this character list or what's left of it. So for this episode, we're doing the vampire. No Twilight fans here though. We don't like that shit. We're into vampires that are cool and stuff. I guess I don't know. But for this episode, brought on someone who's been on a couple times now, but very knowledgeable. Very much part of the scene, of course. Lots of people know his name. That is none other than Heaton. What's going on, dude?
Good evening.
You even sound like a vampire. See, it's great. It all makes sense. Everything makes sense. The world is coming together. So you've been on a couple times, which makes it easy because we can kind of skip the intro part, which is nice. Just go right to talking about strats. So just a heads up for everybody that's listening. So actually, at the request of Heaton, there's a few different ways to play this character. So in addition to the podcast, and as his conversation as we'll go through it, Jim Benader was nice enough to do a little write up for us that kind of encompasses his play style and how he plays Raphael. So we'll go over almost like a move by move. For this episode, but just to get a different perspective for those out there, I am going to put up his Jim Benader's write up after this is this done, and put it up on YouTube and everything, just so that you guys can take a look at that and kind of go through that, compare, and figure out how you want to go about playing this character. And so I wanted to mention that just because I might reference his write up a time or two as we go through this episode, and just so you're not lost, so you have that reference as well. So with that, let's just jump right into this. So this is a character that oddly enough, like a lot of the well-known players play, but like he's still kind of underrepresented, which is sort of odd. But I guess the best place to start, or the best question for me to ask, I can just kind of use Jimbo's first sentence. His goal that he says with Raphael is to run away and force a battle of attrition. So I guess we can start there. I'm guessing you don't play him that way. So how do you see like that? What's your opinion on that?
It's funny because I don't play Raphael like that, but philosophically speaking, that is definitely one of the best ways to play him. Before, I've said that to play Raphael at his most effective, you have to be 100% okay with getting 3 timeouts to win the match, like running the clock 3 times in a row. If you're not okay with that, then you may be able to do well with Raphael, but you could probably do better with other characters that reward impatience. Not even reward impatience, but Raphael is such a character that it's so necessary to be very patient at times. Like, you can't always be, okay, he's this, I'm gonna go in and try to hit him 50 times, like do 2K and 2K. Oh, then I'll hit him with this. You have to pick your spots very carefully because he's one of the few characters where getting the knockdown is not necessarily a good thing. He has a very serviceable close-up game, but it's nowhere near as good of a close-up game as, say, Pura Omega. And to be up in the grill like that, it's very dangerous, and you're going to get out-damaged very quickly. So just because you can take, a quick little punish here doesn't mean that's necessarily the best thing, especially if you're at a life lead.
Yeah, it's interesting that you phrase it that way, because Jimbo mentioned specifically that he prefers that you aren't knocked down. He wants you standing up, so he can keep doing that little pokey stuff, and just whittle you away. And I think the phrase he used, I'll try to look it up here, "death by paper cuts," I think is what he said.
Yes.
So that's very much how he likes to play. But we have a write up for him, so we'll just use that as a comparison. Now, you said that you don't play like that, so how do you play him?
When I play Raph, I try to take the idea of a historical fencer. Now, this isn't like for those of you who watch movies, not Princess Bride, where you're doing a bunch of flips and twirls and all that cool stuff. He does have a few of those, but that's not what you're going to be using 100% of the time. Instead, I'm trying to go in and out, trying to provoke people to come in with something stupid, like a very linear move or whatever. Or say, like, something people love to do is step Raph all day because they think he doesn't have an A button. But just try to catch them when they're doing something they're not supposed to be and hit them hard for it. He has some very good hard-hitting moves. 236B is his get the hell in and hit you for it. 42 damage, 52 on clean hit, but we'll get to that stuff later. 66B, 66A. He has a lot of stuff to get in very quickly, and if not knock you down, at least put you in a situation where you're not going to be jumping to mash out 3B or something, though those people do exist.
Gotcha. Now, another thing I want to mention for those who are listening, Keaton here was kind enough to provide his notes for pretty much every move that Raph has, and that is another thing that I will be linking with the episode. It's a Google Doc, so you can read it all, go over it, copy paste, whatever you want to do. But I do want to ask you, Keaton. Most of the time for these episodes, we usually do like a more generalized discussion. Like we'll tackle this area of the character, then this one. Now, since you're the guest, of course, you're the expert. Would you prefer that we talk about it like that, or do you actually want to go through a move by move? Is that easier for you to talk about it like that, or?
Yeah, I'd like to go through just move by move, but I'm going to stop at certain points when like a very important move comes up or a move that informs a certain part of his playstyle comes up.
Okay. Well, then
And of course, if you have any questions, just ask away. Of course, this is your podcast.
I will definitely be doing that. So I guess let's just start at the beginning of your list. AA.
So here we go. It's 20 damage, jails. It's safe. The second hit can whiff if you're at tip range, so be careful of that. But it's actually a pretty consistent step kill, and that's important for this guy because he has a few problems with consistent step kills. Get into that later. So AA, good little poke user.
And then he has an alternate version, AB.
Yes, AB, the scrub killer. If people aren't blocking this, then they don't know Raph. It's high-low. It's just guardable on reaction, at least for people who do know him. I have quite a few people that do this to me. It's unsafe on block, especially to Greeks, where it is -14, so you're getting stabbed for that. Be careful. Something I like to do with it is just do it just barely out of range of the A, so the first hit will whiff. He moves forward just a tiny bit for the low poke, and it looks like it's not going to hit, but it just barely does. And then it kind of pushes out a bit on the second hit. So you might be safe from a full damage stab, at least. Not the attack throw, but just the first attack. But for certain characters, though, so not Greeks, which are thankfully not the entire roster, Cervantes, Siegfried, characters with poor full crouch games, it can be a hassle to really dissuade him from using that. So test your opponent, see what they do.
Gotcha. So for the most part, aside from maybe that one situation you mentioned where you intentionally whiffed the A, it's mostly a character knowledge thing. Like, let's see how much you know.
Yeah. Okay. It's character knowledge and depending on certain matchups. So learn the characters that can hurt you for it.
And it looks like the next ones that you have on your list are the 6A set.
Yeah, the 6A series. So 6A by itself, it's a nice little poke. It's always been there, and people have always ignored it, which is quite unfortunate. It's -10, so basically safe. +2 on hit, but it's a string, so people are going to be wary of the second hit. Nice thing about it is it's almost hit confirmable. It's kind of difficult. Give it a shot. See what you think. Hit confirmable means different things to different people. The other thing about it is you can enter into preparation. and I'll touch more on that stance a bit later, but for the most part, it's not one of my favorite entrances, just because in general, you want to have as many frames as possible going into it. And first off, people are going to be wary because it's a high string. So they're going to be like, okay, I got to duck this and then probably launch. And then if you go into stance and they duck the second hit, you're definitely getting launched. There's no ifs, ands, or but it. The other problem is it's only plus 10 on hit. And that might sound very strange to some of you. Only plus 10 into a stance. That's, for most people, that's going to be very, very good. But for Raphael, whose intention is to go into prep and then immediately go into shadow evade, you're losing out on around 20-ish frames already just in the shadow evade entrance. So not necessarily the best entrance.
Now, just to instruct my noobdom, the shadow evade, that's just the back, right? The one that guard
shadow
attacks.
evade is preparation 2. And he does this cool little neo evade.
Okay, what is the 4? What stance is that?
4 is just preparation parry.
Oh, it's a move out of preparation. Oh, okay. I thought it was a completely separate stance.
No, it goes right back into preparation. It's a fun little... That's one of his Princess Bride moves. Gotcha. Use that one if you want to look cool.
Well, yeah.
So that's 6AB more or less.
All right, and then it looks like 3A is next on the list.
Ooh, this is a very good move. It's a very dirty move. It's a very classical fencing move. No cool little flips or twirls or anything. Just a little smack with the butt of your sword. This is going to be what you're using close up because it's almost certainly one of his best moves. Mid, 14 frames. Safe on block, only minus 10. Plus 2 on hit, but on counter hit, you get this neat little pushback to where you're roughly at tip 3B range, which is a perfect place for him to be. This is generally what you want to use when either you have people disrespecting you up close or you want to be disrespectful up close because it's so fast. Near the wall, it's very useful because it'll splat and then you get some ridiculous wall damage. And something someone mentioned in the tier list thread a while ago that it was steppable. It's not steppable at all. It tracks step 100%. Unless they're like stepping at, plus 80 or something, in which case you shouldn't be doing moves anyway.
Well, I mean, just looking at the range, I can imagine that it might at times give the appearance that you're stepping it when you're really just outside of its range.
Yeah, that is generally where the problems with movement and stuff. It's basically subject to the whiffing problems that every character has. So just know your range. If you're point blank, they're not going to step it unless something stupid happens, in which case that would have happened with any character. So that's 3A. Abuse it.
And it looks like the next one on the list is the generic, the oldie but goodie 2A.
Oh, it's so good. It's so very good. Range is pretty good for a 2A. Not the best, but it's going to annoy people with how much they get hit by it. You're going to want to use this to kill step. This is, I've never had this move stepped. Not even by weird acts of God. So it's a very reliable step killer. The frames are great. It is plus 8 on hit. Not much in the way of damage, but hey, I'm good with plus 8.
Well, I mean, that's going back to Jimbo's perspective, that's part of what he wants. He wants to hit you a ton of times. So, he wants to be at plus 8. He wants to be able to annoy the shit out of you. So.
Oh, definitely. And with his very good full crouch game, you can just go 2A, and since it leaves you crouching, you can just kind of abuse them with these plus frames you got and do, full crouch B while rising B or full crouch K. He's got very long legs, so you're definitely going to be able to annoy the crap out of them with this.
All right, and it looks like the next one, 1A.
1A. This would be one of his premier horrible moves, and I like to be the guy who thinks, every move has a purpose. And this move does have a purpose, but it's very, very bad at its purpose. So let's see. We got a steppable, pretty slow, non-tech crouching, low damage move. It's just really bad.
Do you ever use it at all?
I use it in certain Oki situations because of its reach. If you get a knockdown at a fairly long range, like say after his CE, they'll be put at a fairly long range away, and if they just stand up, you can tag them with 1A. But I only generally do that if it's a mix-up that's going to kill. And that's the other problem with this move is because it does such low damage, it does 10 normally. That means that when Guts kicks in at the end of their life bar, it does 5 damage. So it does extremely low damage, even like in the best of times you'd want to use it. So,
yeah, I was going to mention the first thing that jumped out at me was how long range it is, but with might as well do 0 damage. It's just kind of pointless.
That is basically its only. Oh, and I'm trying to hit it at its absolute tip range, and I'm watching the tip of his sword just goes through the ankle of the opponent. So you really gotta don't use it. That's my advice to anyone who wants to use it. Don't.
All right, now what about 4A?
4A is a controversial move, I think. People either love it or hate it. I'm one of the people who love it. It's so very evasive. It hits differently depending on where you hit them. So if you hit them just normally straight on, you're going to get this kind of... let me try. They kind of fall to their left, and they kind of, it looks like they got hit on the right side. And that's what'll happen usually if you do it at range. That's not exactly what you want to go for, though it's not bad because you get some spacing out of it, and Raphael always loves space. But if you hit it a bit more close up, they'll react as if they got slapped in the back of the head, and they'll stumble forward a bit. This is generally what you want when you go for this move, because now they're in back turned. And even though the move is -2 on hit and counter hit, most people aren't going to be ready to hit buttons from back turn. Mitsurugi, Ezio, people with good back turn games might, but not everyone has those options. So you can run in, do maybe a grab, mid, mix up. It's a very fun move. Oh, and one of the weird things about this move, and weird things about Raphael in general, is a lot of his riskier moves, so to say, they have this little caveat with them where even if they get blocked and you get launched or stabbed or whatever for it, they do a pretty good amount of guard damage. 4A specifically breaks in 15, which is very... it's very sneaky because it's such an unassuming, low damage high, but it breaks very quickly. So
yeah, I can definitely see being able to sneak 15 of those in a match.
Yeah. It's just trying not to get punished too hard for it. So, but if they're not punishing it, then mash this out all day. If you do get a guard break off of this, depending on how you hit, you can get a guaranteed back throw, which is always good.
Yeah, back throws are
especially for the cool factor. He's got a great back throw. So that's a 4A.
Now, next one here is Wall Rising A, which is, yeah, I see your note here. It says hilarious pushback on hit. So
does that look like it should push back that much? It just, I don't understand it. He has this with a few other moves too, but it's just, I don't understand the pushback. It's like he's channeling Soul Calibur 2 Assassin. But aside from that, it's a very good step kill, if high. I like it better than AA because of the pushback, but it is slower. It's actually very safe. Wow, -4. I forgot about that. And it does not break, but it puts you to flashing red in 19, which is not too bad for a safe step kill. So abuse that if you are any good at instant wall rising. Otherwise, something to keep in mind while you're in full crouch.
And then we have Jump A.
Here we have those Princess Bride moves. Very cool looking move. It's a very good move too. Not as a step kill. I've had it stepped to the side, both sides actually, many times. So don't use it as that. What you want to use it as his tech jump, because it tech jumps at frame 3. That's very early. On hit, it puts them back turn, and that's a great place to be because, of course, they're back turned. And it pushes them back a ways too. So you can either go in for a mix-up if you really want, or you can just, back off, which is usually a smart thing to do if you're playing Mitsurugi or Ezio. Again, characters with good back turn.
Now, is there how much advantage are you at with that back turn situation? Assuming you don't play a character that has.
You are at +1, so you don't have a lot of frames necessarily, but turning around does take frames. So if they're not going to do something immediately from back turn, you're usually safe to run a mix-up.
Excuse me. Now, is there anything that is guaranteed if they do something? Like, let's say they just want to turn around and block. I take it there's nothing that's
no, it's not like Tekken in where back turn can guarantee some stupid things. You can always just guard.
Gotcha. Cool. All right.
Oh, and on block, this move, let me set that up in practice mode, but on block, it moves them quite a ways to your left, which is, let me see how much. Yeah, quite a ways to your left. So if you're trying to position them, not through movement, but through hitting them, it's a very good move for doing that. It's not safe, though. It's -12. Most people aren't going to be able to do anything, but for the few characters that can, be wary of it. Good move. Use it.
All right, well, looks like that's the end of the basic A's. So now we have the B's. All sorts of B's.
The B's.
So it starts off BBB.
BBB. Very flashy BBB. They're all right pokes. Fairly decent range. The third hit is natural counter combo, and it's hit confirmable-ish. It's kind of tough, but if you train it, you can usually hit confirm it. It's linear as all hell. I mean, it's 3 Bs. What do you expect? And you kind of have to be careful with that. Both the first hit and the third hit have quite a bit of pushback on hit. So if you're trying to reset yourself back a ways, it's good for that. It's good. It used to, back in the day, have a lot of tracking, and it sometimes shines through a little bit. It's really inconsistent and weird, but it can kind of track to his left, like in really odd situations. Like he'll just turn and follow you the entire way. It's not consistent, but I've seen it happen. So count your lucky stars and hope that happens.
If you decide to finish it.
Mm.
Well, it looks like the next one is the 6B set.
This is one of his most important moves. It's an I-12 Punisher. You have to learn your punishes with Raph. If you're not punishing things with this, you're missing out on a lot of things. It can punish DNSB. I mean, really, that's all I have to say. It's a very, very important move. It's also not bad just to throw out, because the last hit is hit confirmable for so long. Counter hit confirmable, I should say. You can pretty much just, go make a sandwich and come back and hit confirm it. It's so easy. The other thing is the entire string really fucks up guard. Like I was saying earlier with 4A, 6BB, just those two, puts you to flashing red in 12, and the entire string breaks in 7. So another thing that if you're just trying to, sneak in some guard damage, people are not going to think this innocuous little 16 damage high is going to break their guard that fast.
No, that's definitely death by slow something. I don't know. I had a phrase in my head. I was thinking of, you put a frog, slowly boiling the water or putting it on.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than just throwing them in the lava or whatever. So
yeah, they don't even notice until it's the third round, and hey, why is my card flashing?
Like he didn't hit me with anything. And then I also noticed that it's it's one of his brave edges as well. Is that something that you focus on a lot, or?
I focus on it as far as it's also counter hit confirmable. You use it the exact same way you use 6 BBB, except more damage. And I think the Brave Edge is a bit more hit confirmable. It feels like it has a larger window. But, you just look for the counter hit to come up and do this. You get some nice damage and knockdown, which may or may not be your thing. The thing I should point out about 6BB hold, which is a stance entrance, 6BB on its own is -14, and 6BB into prep is -3, which is a very poor stance entrance. However, those two things together can work in your favor because most people are not going to punish -14, even the characters that can, really punish it, just because we have a third hit that is not going to, it's not going to dissuade everyone. It's not that strong, 22 damage pushback. You also have a Brave Edge, which might dissuade them a bit more, but again, you're really throwing yourself out there and you're going to get hurt. But you also have the stance entrance, and you do have options that would kill most punishes for it. So people are generally going to be waiting for you to go into stance and hurt you for it there, in my experience at least. So you can get away with a lot of unpunished 6BBs.
Well, yeah, and I noticed in Jimbo's write-up, he focuses a little bit, has a little blurb, I guess you could call it, for 6BB. He's trying to make a broader point. But he says, look at 6BB on hit. If I don't go into preparation, I'm at neutral, which I think you said it was -14, though?
On block. -14 on block. It is neutral on hit.
Gotcha. So that's okay. So he's talking about if it's on hit, and then he talks about preparation too. Okay. So, okay, cool. I guess at first I thought he was talking about block, but that makes more sense.
No, he knows what he's talking about. So it all kind of comes together to create a mix-up regardless of what you do. And you don't even have to do anything, horribly unsafe, just 6BB and guard. And, of course, you can just wait and see what they do off of that. That can tell you a lot about your opponent. But a very, very important move. And definitely learn your punishes on this. There's a lot out there.
And now it looks like we have a couple of 3Bs.
3B and 3B hold. So 3B, it's another move, neutral on hit, -14 on block. But this one's a bit sneakier just because it has a lot of pushback and it has a lot of range. So if you're hitting this from tip, just the non-stance version, you're going to be annoying the hell out of your opponent. This is coupled by the fact that this is a marginally better stance entrance on block, though for the purposes of getting into stance, it's not something you should be doing a lot, just because it's only +1 on guard, so you got to be careful. On hit, though, you do get a guaranteed combo, either prep AB if you're close, or prep BB at any range. But something else you can do is, because it's +15 and guarantees things, and people are going to be expecting you to do a combo, you can do 3B hold into, a stance option, like, go into Shadow Evade or Preparation 4. There's a lot of things you can do besides just take the damage. And damage is always good. It's 48 for Prep AB and 36, I want to say. 38 for Prep BB. But you kind of have to look at the situation and see what's more important at the time, damage or, a mix-up for potentially even more damage. Oh, and also breaks in 15, so go crazy with this. It's actually very important for guard breaks because 3B into prep leads to his best post-break damage, which is off of Shadow Evade B. So if they're flashing red, you definitely want to be going in with this move. Oh, and it's his I-16 Punisher of choice. I should mention that.
Oh, okay, so
that's fairly important.
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier you need to know his punishes. So.
Yeah.
Definitely. It looks like next on the list is 2B. I love me some 2Bs.
Do you? 2Bs.
Yeah.
a fun little move.
Well, just like
it's a bit.
what's another character that has a really good 2B? Just I don't know. I like the characters that have good 2Bs, and his looks pretty good. It has range, safe, mid, poke, and then it leaves him in crouch, which at that range, if you're hitting it like tip range, seems pretty useful. But
oh yeah, if you're hitting it at tip range in a very obnoxious situation, and it also puts them in full crouch if they're if it's on hit, I should say. So, a very fun move to abuse against, say, Cervantes or Siegfried. And it does have a bit of tracking, more to his left than his right, because he kind of puts his sword behind his knee. Don't count on it for killing step 100%, but, if they're trying to roll to that side, it's there.
It looks 1B, the next one.
And this is an interesting move, to say the least. Kind of a stronger looking move. It's safe, completely safe, -6, +8 on hit, so frame wise it's very good. Breaks in 11, so if you kind of need something, you just have to hit them. Like your fingers are telling you that you want to hit buttons, and you have the frames for it. This is the move you want to hit buttons with, or hit whatever.
Mash your face against the stick. Make sure you're holding 1, and make sure your forehead hits the B.
1B. So it's very good if they're on the defensive. It is on the slow side, so you're not going to be beating out people mashing AA or 3A or what have you. But if they're, on the defensive and you kind of want to open them up, this is the move to do it. Or rather, with their back to the wall, it will wall splat on normal hit or counter hit. So that's very important because, again, Raph has an excellent wall game. It's always good to have another move to set that up. It kind of, sort of, hits grounded to both sides. It's extremely inconsistent, and I'm amazed when it does.
That's interesting because it doesn't look like something that would hit ground.
No, it's really weird. I'm trying to set it up, but I can't even get it. More so if they roll, usually to Raph's right. Because the hitbox kind of comes from that side. Though I have had him just kind of realign to his left. Again, pray to God, hope you get it. Smile and go to church if it does. So.
All right. Well, it looks like the next one on there is 4B and 4B hold.
4B, my favorite. Generally, I don't use 4B. I can't really think of a time I would use 4B. This is his go-to tech crouch, so you want to try, if you're already making a read to where, okay, you're going to do a high, you want to go in with as much, you want to go all in. You don't get any real damage off of just 4B, but 4B hold, you get, prep BB, and then either you get, okay, so let's sidestep for a moment and see. With this combo, it kind of shows one of Raph's weird things, and I'm pretty sure it's unintentional. If you do 4B, prep BB, and then do the world's most shallow sidestep left, and then do A plus BB, or A plus BA, I should say, you will get a 71 damage combo. And this applies to any time he gets that sort of stun. The problem with this is, first off, it's hilariously inconsistent. I don't even go for it against small hurtbox characters. And second off, the reason I say it's not intended is because in situations where you can do this, A plus BA does more damage than both the other meterless option and the meter option. So I can't imagine why they would put in, even as hard as it is, a meterless option that does so much damage. But it is there, so practice it, if not for all times, then at least for the characters that are fairly big.
And you said it was 4B hold, prep BB, and then you do the shallow?
4B hold, prep BBB, Shallow Step, A plus B.
Oh, all 3 Bs. Okay.
Yeah, got to finish it. Gives you this interesting little stun. And he gets that off of most of his combos kind of come to this.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I'm practicing with Pyrrha, so I'm sure it's probably hard.
Yeah, it's you basically have to do a perfect 1-frame sidestep cancel. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that on the
fly. I don't ever go for it against Pyrrha, so don't feel bad for not getting it.
Gotcha.
It's very difficult.
Well, at least I know it's there.
Yeah, so it is there. So if you want some more damage off of your 4B, go for that.
Now, let's say that you get that stun, and you're playing against a Pyrrha, so you don't want to go for the A plus B. What's the typical go-to after the prep BBB?
So if you don't have meter, you're you don't have much. You can go for nothing's really guaranteed because you can tech very quickly after that. All you're going to get is 2k guaranteed, I think. If you have meter, which Raph is pretty good about always having meter, you can do prep B Brave Edge, which is the same as 6B Brave Edge, and that'll generally be the most consistent option. That's always good to have. If you have a lot more meter and you really want to kill her, you can just do 4B hold prep BBB into CE. And this scales very hard. It only does about 88 damage for a full bar. So yeah, you kind of have to weigh your options. I generally only use that one when it'll kill. And even then it's hard to estimate because basically every hit of that combo gets hurt by guts. So you have to be very careful with that.
Yeah, instead of doing 2 damage, you're doing 1.
Yeah. So, know that. There's also a range, not tip range, but just a bit closer in than tip range, where Prep BB will whiff. It's a range you kind of notice after you've played and watched it whiff, and then you get launched and you cry. You learn it very quickly playing Raph. So just be wary of that. It's just a little closer than absolute tip range. Though at tip range, you're going to be fine. So don't worry too much about that. This is another move that breaks guard very quickly. Breaks in 10. So another good option. You can just throw out regular 4B if you want to pester guard from a distance. It's only minus 14. Most people are going to wait for the stances. I think that's about it. Yeah.
All right. It looks like 236B.
My favorite. So this is generally what you want to use if they're doing something stupid on the other side of the screen and you want to hurt them for it. Very, very good range. One of the longest ranged anything in the game. I think it's only beaten in range by like projectiles and maybe Pyrrha CE. And even then, I think it might be just a bit longer than her CE. So very, very long range. Very quick, too. Only I-20 for a move that closes the distance so quickly.
Now, I do
if you don't have
want to ask kind of a goofy question. But, with Raph, it seems like, or at least with, Jimbo style, you're kind of just poking, trying to whittle away at the life bar. But at least from the way that that Jimbo puts his perspective in his write-up, he kind of wants you to have that uncomfortable feeling and like start to throw out more risky stuff at range. Now 236B seems like something that all you need to do is get hit by it once and then it's there. You're like, okay, I need to be careful and stop pressing buttons when I'm a half a screen away. Do you think that because it seems like it would almost contradict what you're trying to do, because you're sort of making your opponent aware of the fact that they shouldn't be pressing buttons, like more so than, just like a little poke or something. You get hit by a couple pokes, it frustrates you and you start throwing out more stuff. But this one, like, it's very in your face, knockdown. Now, so do you think that kind of runs?
Well, for me, I don't have as much of a problem with getting knockdowns, just because I enjoy grabbing people a lot in any game. Just hand me a character with a grab and a mid, and I will do good. And he has a very, very serviceable grab game. So me closing the distance and getting a knockdown, I'm not in a horrible place, even, considering Raph's not the best at this, but he's good enough for me. On the idea of informing your opponent that, you can hit them from over here, this is one thing that he has had since Soul Calibur 2, so most top-level players are aware of the move by now. They know that, okay, even though we are at the farthest you can go, he's just, a step and a 2-3-6B away from me. So it's not something that people are going to be surprised and completely threatened by, I guess. But it's always good to check your opponent if they're, being a moron over there. And again, you always have the option if you hit it. It depends on how far you are. If you hit it at tip, you have quite a bit of space. And if you don't feel comfortable, going in and doing pokes, you just back off again. I mean, they're knocked down, so they're going to have to get up and, come chase you. So let them chase you. That's generally what I like to do if I don't hit it deep. If you hit it deep, then time for Oki. Oh, and well, I didn't even actually get to talk to all the fun stuff about this move. It is unsafe, -12, so that's going to be a full crouch A for faster characters, but Cervantes, Siegfried, Astaroth, Nightmare, characters without that, they don't get anything. And because this is basically a safe long-range breaks in 9 move, you're going to be wanting to do this to them a lot. Well, you're going to be wanting to do this even when it might not necessarily hit. But if you know that they're at least going to be forced to guard it, go crazy.
Well, yeah, I noticed.
Don't just throw it out if they. Yeah, it's basically a line, so don't throw it out at neutral. You're going to get stepped.
Well, yeah, and I noticed you have a little note here that says spam like a motherfucker on Servi. So
oh yeah,
I guess make note of that. It's all caps, so it's got to be important.
Cervantes Raphael is not fun if you let him run stupid stuff. So you have to run your own stupid stuff against him, or it just becomes a very sad, sad day. This also has an interesting property in that it has tech crouch at frame 20, which is the frame it impacts on. So you can't clash with highs when using this move. It's a really weird thing, and I think this move might have had tech crouch or something pre-patch, but yeah, so you can't clash with highs. Nice little perk. It doesn't really come into play often, but if you end up beating a high that you should have hit, you'll have your opponent going, "What the fuck? Why didn't I hit? I should have." Get frustrated. That's always nice to get people frustrated.
Well, yeah, it seems to be the name of the game. This character, so
definitely,
for sure,
definitely. So 2-3-6B.
Well, it looks like the next few moves on the list here are all the crouching Bs.
Yes.
So we got full crouch B first.
Oh god, this will annoy people, especially if they're on the ground. Something fun you can do is 2A, full crouch B, and full crouch K mix-ups. Just those 3 alone are the most annoying moves ever put into a full crouch. Like, it's just so obnoxious to try and... Like, even against people who know what they're doing, they would just be... They're like, are you mashing that out? Like, are you seriously just hitting random buttons while crouching? Because it basically, that's what it looks like you're doing. But it's just so... It's obnoxious to deal with, trust me on this. And then if they're rolling on the ground, it will track generally both sides pretty well. Though more so to his left than his right, so be careful of that. You basically want to use it like you use 2B, except this doesn't force them into crouch. Very good move for annoying people.
All right, now what about full crouch 3B?
I love this move. I think it's a very underrated move, mostly because most people aren't in a position to ever use it. But what I like to do is instant full crouch 3B. That's how good I think it is. On block, it has very good pushback, so even though it's minus 14, you're generally not going to get hurt at all, or if you are, for very little. Knocks down on hit and also pushes back quite a ways to roughly... Well, you can hit 236B at a fairly long distance, so that's always good. You're tech crouching while you're doing it. I'm not sure for how long, but I just know you are. Trust me on that. It's basically going to be your Punisher of choice from crouching. Kind of a mid-level thing between 6AB and 236B. It's somewhere in between there in terms of strength. And it breaks in 11. It's another one of those. So hit them with it if they're not responding to it or if they can't respond to it. Tracking is a bit wonky on it. But you're so evasive during the move, and it has such a long range that most people are going to be kind of wary to be doing much of anything. So definitely one of my favorite moves with him. And we have While Rising.
Yes, just the last.
Another one of these weird pushback. This and While Rising A. I don't know why it does it, but I'll take it. Safe on block, plus on hit, pushes back. That's a perfect Raphael move. What more would you want from a poke? It has a tiny bit of tracking to his left, but not something you want to depend on. If you think they're going to step, you might as well just use While Rising A because you're in the same position. But overall, very good poke. Some canned things I like to do to people who are taking a nice long nap would be 2B and then While Rising B in succession until they wake up. Actually, I forget if this can even hit grounded. Uh-oh, I should check that sometime. No, okay. Excuse me, 2B full crouch B, but if they stand up, they'll stand up into While Rising B, so either way, a very good move. Use it.
It looks like the last basic B, jump B.
Jump B. Safe tech jump. You would use it in place of jump A if you wanted to knock them down. It does marginally more damage. Not too much more, and only 6 damage more. It does push back quite a bit on the knockdown. So if you're a Raphael player that enjoys running Oki as opposed to running on frames, this will probably be your tech jump of choice in place of jump A, but they're both very good moves. Figure out which one you like. And that's B.
Now on to the Ks. So regular K, I feel like we should almost skip this move because just because you say,
use 6BB.
Yeah, just because of that
use
one
6BB.
note, it's like 6BB does everything it does.
Though he has a very good KG cancel because it looks hilarious when you do it quickly. He moonwalks backwards, and what character doesn't want to moonwalk?
I guess.
All right, so starting with his actual kick moves, 6K. It's his fastest hitting tech jump at I-16. It's barely unsafe, and with the pushback on it, even Pura is going to have a hard time AAing you. And here's another weird thing. This one breaks in 15, even though it's this dinky little ballerina kick. I don't get it, but it's a very easy one to sneak in guard damage with.
Well, I've mentioned it, a couple times about the whole attrition thing that Jimbo goes for, and he mentions, somewhere in here about that.
Should have gotten you a highlighter.
Yeah. But I mean, he talks about doing stuff like that, and even if you're not getting the damage, you mentioned earlier, be as long as you're okay with going for timeouts, just even if it's not their life bar. As long as you're getting the guard damage as well, and they're not even noticing, it's always a good thing. So,
yeah, with slower characters or characters with very flashy guard breaks, it's very obvious, what you're going for a lot of the time with Siegfried B4, for example, this huge wind up, lightning's all over the place, and then your guard broken after it. It's like, okay, I wonder what he's going for. But with Raph, everything kind of guard breaks, so you can't be sure, is he doing this to tech jump and he just, messed up? Did he make a wrong read? What's he trying to do? It's a very sneaky kind of way to guard break.
Well, yeah, and that's always the benefit of having moves that they don't have lightning around them, and they're just generic multi-purpose moves. Yeah, excellent. And it looks like 3K.
One more thing about 6K is just something I like to do to mix it in with this good full crouch game. If people start throwing their own 2As or full crouch As at you, you can do this in retaliation. And the nice thing about it is if they do a 2A, you're going to tech jump over it, kick them in the face. And if they do a 2B or maybe a wall rising K or something, you're going to get hit out of the air, and then you can just air control away. So it kind of creates a Soul Calibur 2-ish kind of mix-up where you just kind of put yourself in the air to avoid any real mix-up. So yeah, 6K, nice move. And then 3K, I don't have much to say about this. He has better moves that do the same thing. 3A is, what I would prefer to use in most situations. It's safer than 3A, I think. Yeah, by it's only -6, so it is safer. But you're just never, I never used it. That's how I do. Oh, I shouldn't say that. In one combo, where you can reset 2 ways. One is with 2A, and one is with combos 2-2B, and then either 3K or 2A. 2A will put them in crouch and put you in crouch. 3K will put them standing and you also standing. So depending on the full crouch game or the standing game of your opponent, you can use 2A or 3K. Though do remember that 2A does have 4 more frames on hit. So in general, I'm going to go for 2A, especially on characters like Cervantes who have a problem from full crouch anyway. But the option's there. Use it, I guess.
I guess.
That's my endorsement of 3K.
If you like to use it. Okay, and now on to another perennial goodie, 2K.
Oh my goodness. This is a heartbreaker for everyone. Everyone who has ever fought Raph has had horrible, mean words to say about this 2K. And why wouldn't you? I mean, look at his legs. They are so long. You can hit this from so far away. You can just barely tap them with your toes, and it'll give you the hit. It's so wonderful. You got to learn the very tip range for it, but after you get that, it's your best friend. You're gonna love this move. Definitely one of the best 2Ks in the game.
All right, and then 1K.
I know Jimbo likes this move, and I think Reptile liked it. I hate it. It's a tech crouch, first off, but I find it to be inferior in every way to 4B. First off, because you don't get anything on normal hit. You have to get a counter hit. It gives... I think it actually does give more damage on meterless. Yeah, it gives a bit less or a bit more damage meterless than 4B combo does. But you have to hit it on counter hit. And if you're tech crouching something, it's kind of iffy whether or not you're actually going to get the counter hit, depending on how early you tech crouch and how late they do their move. And also it doesn't hurt guard anywhere near as much. It puts you to flashing red in 22, which is quite a long time. It's also flat out -16, and there's no stance option to try and fool them. So characters that can punish -16 will, and it's going to hurt. So
interesting. He doesn't, unless I just missed it. I don't think Jimbo mentions 3 or 1K.
I know I see him use it a lot, and I remember him saying that he liked it a lot, but it's been a while. He's changed his ref quite a bit lately for the better. So maybe he got rid of that move.
Nice. All right, then it looks like we got 4K next.
This little hook kick. It tracks fairly well to both sides. You can kind of use it to keep people in line if they're mixing up between mashing and stepping. It kind of kills both if you're at plus frames. It's safe on block and plus on hit, so you're not really putting yourself too far out there, though it is a high, so don't just throw it out against Siegfried because he's gonna wall rising beat your ass.
And then I guess we can just skip the next move since apparently you don't know what wall rising is.
I'm sorry. I've played him for so long. I don't know what it's for. I'm sorry.
So don't use wall rising K, people. Don't use it.
Well, if you guys think you can find a use for it, be my guest. But please let me know as soon as you can, because it's an enigma. This is the question of the ages for all RAF players. What the fuck is this move for? Oh my.
Well, let's move on to the next one then. Jump K.
Jump K. It's kind of a mix between Jump A and Jump B, in that it does 26 damage and it gives you +4. So it gives you both the frames and the damage. It's kind of good to use if you're not really, one way or the other about, I have to have knockdowns or, I have to have frames. It's just a good middle of the road thing. And it's generally what I go to if someone throws out a low and I react at the last second. It just, it's muscle memory for me. That's the one my brain tells me to use the last second. So, good tech jump.
All right, well, it looks like that's it for the basic Ks.
Oh, and I should say it forces full crouch on block and hit. On hit? On block, at least. I can't really tell with practice mode.
So use against Serby.
It looks like. Right? Yes. Definitely. Put that in bold letters.
Use that against Serby. All right, well, let's move on to the multi button presses. A plus B, it looks like, is the first one on your list.
A plus B and A plus B A. Okay, so first off, I should say I personally have a problem with strings where the middle hit leaves you with your dick in the wind. I would rather much have the last hit have your dick leave in the wind. But with this, the middle hit leaves you way out there at -17. And the last hit is basically a free just guard for anyone who knows RAF. And you're still -19. So that's never fun. But a lot of people say they enjoy using it. And I can see why. I mean, if you're being, very smart about using it, they're going to be trying to just guard the last hit. And so you can just do the first two hits. It breaks in 10. Or rather, the first two hits break in 10. The last hit doesn't do anything at all, really. But it's a very nice string, I guess.
Well, it sounds like it's more useful for the situations like you mentioned earlier with the 4B hold and then prep BBB.
Yeah, personally, I try to use it only in combos. It's also very good for ending his wall combos because the second hit on counter hit, it's kind of hard to make this situation happen in practice mode, but the second hit and the third hit on counter hit give you a free 6/6 A plus B. So that's generally what you're going to end wall combos with. But, if you're the kind of guy that likes being risky with strings, try it out, see what you think.
All right, looks like we have a GI next, 4A plus B.
Yes, 4A plus B. For those of you who have horrible memories of Soul Calibur 4, they have fixed this. You cannot re-GI the automatic attack afterwards. It's guaranteed, gives you some nice damage, 48 damage, and +5. So it's very good for fucking people up for being predictable with horizontals. It does high, mid, and special low, though I seem to remember doing some weird jank and guard impacting a few lows, you might want to look into that, but not really a big deal when he has very good tech jump moves also. But for an example of like an option select, you can do like Pura 1-1 AA. If she does like the first hit and she's gonna finish it, just block. Either she's gonna do the non-charged version, which is a free 6 BB, or she's gonna do the charged version, which you just have to wait for the huge ass lightning and then get your free GI. So it's always nice to have a free meterless GI available.
And it looks like we have like another GI move, I guess, technically, but 8A+B.
It's a weird one. I've never really understood what it's for, but I've known it's good. Horizontals and stabs, yeah, it's I guess if you're playing a Pyrrha that is being reckless with 236B, which those are out there, but generally you're going to use it for the horizontals. It's another one you can use with this full crouch game. Kind of like 6K, if they're going to attack with a full crouch A, you can just do your own full crouch A on block into 8A+B. And it's very odd because when people get hit by this, they just kind of stand there like, wait, what the hell just hit me? Because I got GI'd, I got hit, but I'm not knocked down, and he didn't do a weird animation. So it's very odd to perceive for most people, so they just kind of guard afterwards. It's not that much on hit, it's only +4, but because of the weird hits done and all that, generally people are going to react much slower than they usually would to +4. It also is another sneaky guard break. It doesn't actually guard break, but it puts to +15. So kind of like 1B, it's another move to just put out if you need something. The GI also helps you if you're just kind of throwing it out there from getting hurt by a horizontal. And a weird perk of this, if you ever get in the situation, because a Raph can't do this normally, but if you catch a character while they're in the air with this move, they go flying. Like it's some, I don't even know, some Dragon Ball Z shit. It's ridiculous. You might be able to get something off of it, but generally they're going to be air controlling so far away. Like, what the fuck? It's very nice to see that, but it's hard to rely on. So,
gotcha. All right, so it looks like another counter hit-ish move, B+K. Counter, I should say.
So, whereas you can kind of use 4A+B a lot on reaction or in response to stuff, B+K, you can't really use it as much. The window is much shorter. It does verticals and stabs, but only from frame 10 to frame 17. It's pretty risky. Like you're basically saying, I know you're going to do a vertical, and I'm going to hurt you very badly for it. But the thing is, you don't even hurt them that bad. The follow-up only does 22 damage, though it does give you a lot of frames. You're +12 and they're back-turned, or rather kind of side-turned. So you can get, if you get the automatic attack afterwards, you get a free CE for some okay-ish damage. It's what I do every time just because it's such a mindfuck, but generally there are better ways to spend your meter. Something else, that there are some moves that can activate the auto evade and let your opponent block in time. And if they're people who've been playing since Soul Calibur 4 or so, they're going to duck the second hit every time because it's his old, for those who remember Soul Calibur 4 Raph, it's his old Verkalac Envelopment A. That would be B+KA. So most people that remember Raph from that time are going to duck the second hit and launch you every time. So it's pretty risky to just throw out, but if you do get it, you're going to look so cool.
Gotcha. Okay, now the next one, Canterella Needle. I have to ask. Okay, so what is that? How do you do it?
Canterella Needle is B+K and any cardinal direction. So 6B+K, 2B+K, 4B+K, and 8B+K, and also back turn B+K. The one that you would use most often just as a poke would be 6B+K. It's kind of a weird move in that it's sort of outclassed by other moves. 3B, it's kind of like a different version of 3B in that it has less damage, less frames, and doesn't break as fast. But if you need like an absolute safe move, for example, if you're playing against Pyrrha, you don't want to just throw out a 3B, this is what you want to use. On counter hit, you get a nice little knockdown on 6B plus K. And on normal hit, on the side ones, 2B plus K and 8B plus K, you get a 3B combo, but it's very hard to hit with these. Just because you're basically saying, I'm going to kill your step by only picking one direction.
Yeah, I was actually just going to mention that. Like, it's anti-sidestep, but not like with a linear move. Like, it seems kind of goofy.
It's very hard to use for killing step. I've never done it successfully. It's just such a risk, and you have to make such a good read.
Well,
maybe if you have like a wall or something, it might be easier, but generally what you want to do, it actually couples up with B plus K, the auto evade, in that after a successful hit, 8B plus K will hit. And if they crouch, you're going to get a very nice combo off of it. So you can manufacture situations where they're forced to take a guess between a throw and a Canterella. The normal one, though, just 6B plus K, is always a favorite, just because safe, breaks in 14, mid, I'll take it. 4B plus K on its own, you're not going to hit unless you're Yomiing a teleport, and even then, you're not going to hit. But back turn B plus K, it hits much more easily just because, your back turn, you don't have to Yomi. They're already running at you. You don't get any combos off of back turn B plus K, but you get more damage. You get a stun, not a comboable stun, but still a stun. And it breaks in 11 as opposed to 14. So a favorite would always be to go to back turn in some way, jumping over 6A plus B, and using that to sneak in even more guard damage while you're back turned. So another sneaky move of his.
All right, so it looks like it's 8-way run time. So 6A.
Oh my. So this is his long-range step kill. If people are stepping around at distance, it's unsafe-ish, only -12, but you're going to crush in 13, so at least you're getting something against the characters that can punish. I've had this stepped. It looks like it completely kills step, and in practice mode, it works as a step kill, but I just have the absolute worst luck when it comes to whiffing with every character, so I tend to shy away from this move and just, walk away while they're stepping. But, try it out. If you're probably not going to have anywhere near as bad a luck as I do with this move. I swear I'm eternally cursed by the gods of whiffing, but give it a shot if you want to stop people from stepping at a long-ish range. And then we have 3-3A. This is a mid-step kill, which is nice, except for the fact that it's very short range, it's unsafe, and I should note I've also had this stepped to his right. Again, it's my luck, but even if you do hit with it, you're not in a great position. It's only +2 with some fairly decent pushback. It's good, I guess, if you want to hit and run, which, of course, you're Raph. You always want to do that. Not my favorite, though. That would probably be 2-2A.
Well, hey, that's next on the list.
That would be. I like this a lot more. It has range kind of between 6-6A and 3-3A. It's kind of the middle step kill of them. On block, it has surprisingly... I think I put that note wrong. That definitely has no pushback. Never mind. Don't know what I was talking about when I made that. Negative on hit, -2. On counter hit, though, you get +10 and this cool little twirly effect to work with. Generally, people are going to stop moving after that. You can step. You can step whatever linear thing Raph tries after that, but in my experience, people just stay put for it. So definitely my step kill of choice if they're stepping in tandem with me.
All right, now 4/4 AB.
It's the mid step kill you actually do want to use if you're going to try to step kill, because it puts in back turn unhit. 4/4 AB, I should say. It is -4 unless you enter into stance, in which case it's -11. And because they're back turned, most characters aren't going to try to swing that hard, and you're basically guaranteed an entrance into Shadow Evade. Even characters that do have a good back turn game, for example, Ezio, if he tries to do back turn B plus K and you go into Shadow Evade, there's a very good chance he's going to whiff his shoulder and get stabbed in the gut for his troubles. So it's a very nice entrance if you're absolutely certain that it'll hit. If you're not certain, you're going to get just guarded and launched, so be careful of that.
Yes.
Something you need Yomi to use, but it's Raph. You kind of need Yomi for this character.
Gotcha. All right, 6/6B.
6/6B. God, I love 6/6B. It is a flashy electric move.
Lightning
which,
bolts.
It's unfortunate. People know you're going for plus frames and you're going for guard break, but who cares? Let them think what they want. It gives +2 on block, which isn't a whole lot, but more than enough for a quick character like Raph. On hit, you get a combo out of stance, which is 6/6 B plus K or 6/6 A plus B. 6/6 B plus K doing more damage. And if you enter into stance, you get preparation A plus B for the most damage and a silly laugh.
Okay.
That's the best part of that.
Silly laugh.
Right. In general, people are not going to respect this all that much on block, just because +8 isn't amazing for prep, because it's still very launchable even after that. And, +2 isn't a whole lot even out of stance. So most people are going to say, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to swing at least a few times. So you might have to dissuade them a bit afterwards, but that's fine. Take a 6BB here or a 3B there, and maybe they'll stop swinging.
Maybe.
But a very good move, especially if you can put them into situations where they have to wake up into it. Then, you can just pile the guard damage on. Especially close up, 6/6B into 2A. Yeah, that's always a fun mix up. 6/6B on guard, point blank, into 2A 6/6B mix up. That's a fun one to run on people. So, very good move.
All right, 3399B.
Oh, God, I love this. It is the slowest low that nobody reacts to because it's such a odd animation. It almost doesn't even look like he's doing a move until he's halfway through it. First off, 99B moves differently than 33B. It keeps moving to that side. The low itself is, after the step, I-38, which you'd expect more people to react to, but it's very hard to see 100% of the time. On hit, it gives you neutral and kind of pushback. Not a whole lot, but you're still in range for a 236B, so that's good to remember. On counter hit, you get a nice little combo 6/6B plus K, but be careful because I just did it and it whiffed entirely. If you want consistency, 6/6 A plus B is much more consistent for about 5 less damage. So be on the ball with the counter hit confirm. You have quite a bit of time, and you're just giving up damage if you don't do it, and that's no good.
All right, now 2288B.
Oh man, this was like Raph's only move pre-patch. Like, this is all you needed to win. Such bullshit. It was like completely safe, and it gave him so much damage on hit. They've toned it down quite a bit. It's -12, so be careful point blank. It does not give anywhere near as good a damage. Before you used to get 3B into fun stuff. Now you basically get 3A, which I like for resetting the space a bit. Resetting space and getting the most damage I can really get, meterless. 2A is another favorite, just for running fun mix-up time. My preferred mix-up is grab or 6xb. The grab will track at this much frames, so you don't have to worry about step. And then 3K if you want to leave them standing, but you are at less frames, so be careful with that. It crushes in 12, so it's another good one to sneak in, though it does look a bit heavier than some of his other pokes, so people might be a bit wary of that one for guard gauge damage. But a timeless classic.
Now, just out of curiosity, before the patch, what did he get off of it?
So after that, he got 3B into Prep BB, and he got to finish it as Prep BBB or Prep BB Brave Edge, which did something like 80 damage, 90 damage. It did a lot of damage for Raph. And I remember playing pre-patch Raph, and that was literally all I did. It was so good. And it tracked so much better, too. It was basically, you were going to hit with it if they stepped. I should say there is a way to hit with 3B, even post-patch. You have to hit at the absolute tip range for 2-2B. Because it has multiple active hit frames, you will then be able to combo in with 3B because you hit with the latest one. But it's completely inconsistent, and you're not going to ever know that you're going to do it. So, you know, by just throwing out 3B after 2-2B on hit, you're most of the time going to give up all that damage, all that frames, and that's no good.
All right, so let's talk about some annoying lows. 1177B.
Oh. This is like my favorite low of all time. Like, it's so goddamn annoying. It's quick, you know, they're not going to react to it even from step. -6 on hit, neutral on the second hit, but it's a string, and that just fucks with people so badly. The frames are pretty much irrelevant, I think. Well, the first hit's unsafe, but other than that, you know, it's an annoying string low. It's only natural counter combo, and I don't really think it's that can hit confirmable. But you're generally just going to be using it to mix up people and, you know, finish it, don't finish it. It's just so obnoxious. I can't even say how much I love this move. It's also nice for killing rollers because both hits are a combo on the ground. But you kind of have to step in the direction they roll. If you step opposite, then it starts whiffing. Generally, it's better to hit, or it's better to make it hit if you step away. Rather, I should say, if you do it from a distance. If you're doing it up close, you might just kind of bypass them completely. Like if you do it point blank, 1-1B, second hit's generally going to just go right past their ass. And that's no good, because then you are getting launched.
So, hey, it's obnoxious on both ends.
Oh, yeah. Obnoxious when it works, obnoxious when it totally fucks up.
Funny. All right, 4-4B.
Backswing blow. It's not his backswing blow from Soul Calibur 4. That one had a different animation and was much, much more seeable, I guess people say. This is his old Prep A+B. It's unsafe, but you're going to crush an 8, which is very good. So, you know, you're getting punished for -16, but hey, at least you get something out of it. On hit, you get a knockdown and a bit of pushback, enough to kind of run away if you really want. I guess you could run in, maybe do like a 3-3B, 2-2B mix-up, but generally I like to run away like a little scaredy cat. That's more or less it. You can kind of get into situations where if your character has, or the opponent has no health left and their guard is flashing red, you can put them into situations where they basically have to just guard it or GI it. And nobody likes being put into situations like that. So, a very nice move to have. Just be careful with it.
So, 6-6K, which I really like because it looks cool.
Oh, it's so cool, and you will never ever find a time to use it. Like I cannot say enough good things about this move because it's a very good move. But I'm just never in a position to use it. It is his only front ring out. So if you get a guard break at the edge, you can ring out with that. Though be careful because post guard break you do have some tech crouch frames, and this is a high. The range is actually pretty shitty on this too. He doesn't really go that far ahead. It looks like he takes like a huge step, but it's really just kind of eh. Though it does crush an 11, and it doesn't look like it again. And it is -9, so always good to have another safe guard crush tool. Use it if it suits you.
All right, 3-3 or 9-9 KB, and then of course the Brave Edge.
Oh man, so this is the meterless version, at least, is a fun little thing. This is his best way to get damage from step. You're not really going to get frames, but you do get an untechable knockdown, and it's always fun to run anything after this because they're basically waking up into a mid-throw mix-up after that. Not everybody can punish this all that well, even though it is -16. The pushback really helps you out here. And it does crush in 12 if they do happen to block it. So again, you're getting something for your troubles. Does it crush? Yeah, it does crush. Okay. Though if you do crush with the first hit, all you get is the canned ender. So be careful with that. Now the Brave Edge version is a much different story. This is basically, do you want frame advantage? Then go get it. Like, it's literally free frame advantage on block. It's such a dumb move. It is his one, every character I think in this game has something that's just obnoxious as shit to deal with. And 3-3K Brave Edge is Raph's bullshit. +11, I think, on block. +8. Yeah, +8 on block, which is still very, very good, especially because you're standing right there. It's just so obnoxious. You kind of have to see it in action. On hit, you can go for a huge meter dump with CE. Again, it's something I only use to kill because it only does 114 for 1.5 meter, which is a lot of meter for not all that much. What I usually like to do instead is go for 6BB hold into prep, and you're guaranteed an entrance into Shadow Evade. There is nothing they can do to stop you from that. Like, even the fastest launcher from While Rising is not going to hit you out of that entrance. So take that every time you get that, I think. There's also, and we'll put this video up, there's a video of me versus Reptile a long time ago, and he hits me with this and then does 6B, prep BB all the way to the ring's edge. And so if they're very stubborn about not wanting to air control, you can actually get a Hilda ring out off of this. But you have to be playing a very stubborn opponent or an opponent who doesn't know how to air control very well. So we'll put that up so you can all laugh at me.
Gotcha.
But all right. Definitely one of his best moves. Oh, and it does ring out forward if you're absolutely as close as you can be to the edge. But you have to be very close. So.
All right. Well, it looks like the next one we can probably skip.
It's there, but he has better things to use. It's just, I don't really have a use for it. Try it if you like it. Use it, but, I have no endorsement for it. 4-4K is a different story. Or shooting 1-1K, actually. Did I skip 1-1K? Wow, I skipped 1-1K in my notes.
Well, let's
That's horrible.
Let's talk about 1-1K right now. And then
1-1K is you'll remember this as his old 1K. Now it is 1-1K. It is another very obnoxious low. This one tracks way better than 1-1B. If they roll, you're going to hit them with this. It's also very hard to see, even with the added in quick step time. Neutral on hit and counter hit and -16. The frames aren't all that great, but they're put into crouch on hit, so you can run more obnoxious stuff if you like. Or does it? I can never tell with practice mode. I think it does. Either way, you can run obnoxious things on people, mostly Survey. This is basically what you want to use as your Oki when you have the frames to run Oki. Just run up and 1-1K or 6-6-A plus B. That's basically the quintessential Raph Okazemi game. A very, very useful tool. Sadly, you don't get any guard crush from this. It puts you to flashing red in 31, which is like the minimum for all moves. So you're not going to do much damage with this, but you're definitely going to annoy some people and fuck up their knees very badly.
Those ankle biter moves, you gotta love those.
Oh, I love them to death.
All right, so now let's talk about 4-4K.
4-4K. So this is my favorite tech jump to use if I can react in time. And that's not always doable just because it's a 4-4 input. And, 9K is easier to mash out than 4-4K in like the heat of the moment. But if they're, you see they're coming, or if you just want to, Yomi something, it puts you, it switches sides, I should say. Depending on if your back is to the ring or the wall or whatever, and you want to get out, this is your spam until you get the hell out of their card. It breaks in 13 as well, so even if you fuck up, not that big a deal, because you're getting a very nice reward, and it's -10, so basically safe. It also puts you into full crouch, so characters like Natsu are not going to get, A6 punishment, which is a very nice thing. 4-4K.
All right, now we have 6-6-A plus B, and of course the 3-3-9.
More twirly moves. Safe as shit. I always forget how safe it is. -4. You can usually run some stuff, but you kind of have to be careful because, guessing wrong and eating a launcher is going to ruin your day. On hit, it switches sides like 4-4K, and you can get best damage you can get is back turn B plus K. Whenever you do back turn B plus K, don't do back turn B plus K. Do 4B plus K, because with certain characters and certain ranges, you can actually do front turn B plus K instead, and then he just taunts nothing, and that's very sad. So always do 4B plus K for consistency's sake. Unblock, it has very nice pushback in addition to being safe and crushing a 9. So definitely something you want to use if you have people scared and blocking. There is a G cancel for it. It's pretty shitty because, it doesn't... It's not really a thing. It's almost as if you had done 6-6-A plus B and they blocked it, but without any of the benefits of actually blocking 6-6-A plus B. Because they're still right in your grill, and you're still basically minus, and their guard gauge isn't even hurt. So use it as a taunt and nothing else.
Nice. All right, now a move you mentioned earlier is 6-6-B plus K. Or no, I'm sorry, I skipped one. 4-4-A plus B. Let's do that one first.
The unblockable. So I've seen people debate the pros and cons of this. I should say this is probably one of the fastest. I think it's the fastest unblockable in the game, barring Hilda's C4A. It's I-49, which is pretty damn fast. It's still reactable though. Just guard, step, do whatever you want. But some people have had success, like Yomiing a really bad whiff. Nightmare 6-6B, Pyrrha 2-2B or something, and doing that in anticipation of that. I have not had much success with that just because, it's 80 damage if you're right, yes, but it's pretty much 80 damage if you're wrong, more depending on the character. So you're really sticking your neck out there for all right reward. It does have a cancel into prep. It's basically useless. If you're doing the unblockable, and why would you ruin a good thing? It's like if you're gonna get 80 damage, why would you cancel that into a situation where you might get 90 damage? It's a useless cancel. Don't use the cancel if you're going to use the unblockable, I think.
All right. So now let's talk about 6-6 this guy.
Okay, so this is another Princess Bride move. It's very cool looking. It's a pretty slow tech jump. I think it starts... I know it starts very late, so use it like maybe Astaroth 1A. Slow moves like that. You're not going to be jumping 2As and stuff. It gives pretty good Oki on hit. And it actually leads to... it's actually good as an Oki tool in conjunction with, 6-6 A plus B and 1-1K. 6-6 A plus B catches your left. 6-6 B plus K catches your right. You kind of have to be a bit careful, though, because, again, everything whiffs for me, and this has whiffed even when I guessed the side correctly. So, caveat emptor. It also has the same properties on block as 2-6B, -12, and puts them into full crouch. So spam like a fucker on Cervantes.
Good old
and
Serby.
Any other character who can't do anything. Fuck that guy. I'm not letting him get away with anything in this matchup.
And then looks like CE is the next one you have on the list.
So I'm not sure which version I'm used. It's an I-12 Punisher. My notes might be wrong for you, so I'll change that. It's an I-12 Punisher. Strongest one in the game at 75 damage. A little less with Guts, just because those middle hits do like nothing. They do like what? Yeah, 5 damage piece, so it's a little less with Guts, but you're still probably going to kill. In combos, it does scale very hard, just because it's a bunch of tiny little dinky hits. So you kind of have to weigh, is it really going to kill him? Versus do I really need the damage? Generally, I like just using it as a Punisher. It's also pretty good as a, random CE, just because it's so fast. It really annoys people to get hit by that. It also does, some work on their guard gauge, which is odd. It breaks in 11, and it does guarantee... What does it guarantee? I have something here. Okay, Google Docs is being... Oh, wait, here we go. CE guarantees 6-6B. So, even though you're technically at -20, you can still hurt them pretty hard if you break with this. So it's a very good move. People often overlook his CE when they're fighting against him just because most people don't really use it to punish anything. And that's more the fault of the players not knowing their own character. So go learn your punishes for it. I should say, though, be careful with certain punishes because it actually has fairly short range. If you can just from position reset in practice mode, if you take just a tiny step forward, you can hit them with that entire red pillar, but because Raph himself doesn't hit them, it looks like he just whiffs completely through them. So it's something you got to be careful of. You'll learn the range, after you play him a while. It's just something that comes with time.
And it looks like the next section you have is his grabs.
Ah, yes, Raph grabs.
I'll let you go in
first
order.
So first off, I should say his grab range is pretty middle of the road. He doesn't have super long hands, but he doesn't have T-Rex arms either. It's an average grab range, nothing special. First off, A plus G, so 50 damage, which is not bad for a throw. Rings out to his right. A lot of people forget about that. I can usually catch people that only have, a sort of understanding of Raph with this throw very consistently. It also sets up Oki pretty well. Tech, don't tech, and that always informs stuff, but generally I'll use it more for the ring out than the Oki, just because he has another A throw, which is much better, and that is 6/6A plus G. And now this is a special case because it gives you a different animation for men and women. For men, you get a close face up, feet towards. And for girls, you get a little bit farther face down, feet away. So the Okizeme is going to be a little bit different. There's also the fact that you can regain health with this throw, which is unique to Raph. You just have to mash like crazy when you're doing the animation, and you can get back a tiny bit of health, but health is health, especially in this game.
What are you mashing? Just A?
Any of the face buttons, or is it a direction too? Yeah, any non-directional buttons. So like just bind everything and go absolutely crazy on your controller. You're also going to get more damage or more health back against females. Females, it is, I think, 4 for every... Okay, so against males, every 4th non-directional input gives you 2 points of health. Against females, every 4th non-directional input restores 3 points of health. It's a very dramatic difference. Like you can notably see, how much health he gets back versus the guys and women. So it's very distinguished. But even on dudes, use it a lot. One of my favorite mix-ups on male characters is 6/6A plus G into another 6/6A plus G. Like I've hit with like so many of these in a row because it's just such an obnoxious, fast throw.
Well, and this is, throws are essential to every character in this game, and the fact that you can regain health instead of just giving out damage is huge.
It's a very good throw. And it has an easy input, 6/6, and that's always wonderful. No 720 bullshit here, thank God. So those are the A throws. He also has B plus G. Timeless classic he's had for those stabs. It's going to be your front ring out. Most people know this. Even the people who don't know anything about him know this. It always rings out front. New to this game, however, is it wall splats into some very, very bad situations for your opponent. You can either get around 100 damage, or you can go for resets, do a lot of really stupid stuff off of this. You can also, on ring out stages, you can put yourself in a position where either B plus G or A plus G will ring out at the same time. So it's basically a 33, 33, 33 between, eating a mid or getting instantly killed from either throw. And that's a very poor situation to be in. I've ruined many days with that kind of a mix-up.
All right, and it looks like the only other throws you got are the side throws and the back throws.
Right. Not much to say about left side throws. Just, it's a left side throw. More damage. Weird animation. Gives you some oki. Non-techable. Right side throw rings out to, behind Raph, I should say. It's really weird when it does because I'm almost never counting on a ring out, but it's always, funny to say, oh, I totally meant to do that. So it's a fun little perk on that one. And then his back throw, untechable knockdown, 72 damage. It's a back throw. Go for it if you can get it. And so those are his throws. Basic theory on throws is just abuse 6/6A plus G. It is so good. You're really hurting yourself if you're not making that a part of your up-close game. Especially, you're literally hurting yourself because you're not taking back that damage.
Now, is it, now you said it was quick. Is that,
it's, I don't know why I said that. It's I-17.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to fill stuff. It's not any quicker, but
I didn't know if maybe it had
more the
a
fact,
quicker break or something.
It's more for the fact that it's a command grab with a 6/6 input, and those are always really obnoxious to deal with. Pura and Natsu have them too, and it's you basically just cry when you get hit by it because it's so much damage, and in his case, he gets health back, so it's just very frustrating. Oh, and 6/8 plus G gives you non-techable knockdown. That's another very frustrating thing, especially against Raph. So yeah, throw a lot.
All right. So it looks like the next section you have all of his prep moves, which we've sort of been talking about as we go through. So I don't know how much more you want to go through those.
I'll touch up a bit. So prep AB is 6 AB, the exact same move in properties, but instance. Instance, it has the role of being your safe out. Prep A by itself is safe, and people are going to be looking for the second hit anyway. Preparation BBB, same as 6 BBB, except the last hit of Prep B will stun on counter hit, and it either gives you that sidestep A+B A or a CE. Excuse me. So that's just something to keep in mind. It dissuades people a little bit more than 6 BBB does, but in general, not that big a deal. Preparation K. Oh God, I could talk about this move all day. People kind of have it in their heads that it's a step kill. It's not a step kill. It doesn't track at all. If it ever does kill someone trying to step, it's because they're stepping at minus frames. In which case, you could have done literally anything else to kill step. Like you could have killed step with BBB if they're stepping at minus 13 or something. What you do want to use it to do is dissuade people from doing tech crouch moves in to beat preparation, because it's a stance of highs and like one very unsafe mid, but you have to use that unsafe mid. You have to use prep K to stop people from trying to kill prep. Preparation K also has a brave edge, which does way more damage. Wall splats, can clean hit. It ruins people's day very fast if they get hit by it, but it's even more unsafe in that it's a mid-high, so you're going to get ducked and launch every time. Whereas Prep K, it's minus 16, and they might forget the punish. So you have to use it. It sucks because of how unsafe both of them are, but you have to use it if people are being disrespectful. You have to show them some humility. And then we have preparation A+B. It's combo fodder. That's really all there is to it. People have said, "Oh, it's a really good move." I mean, look at what I wrote: a slow ass low where he laughs like a moron to telegraph the fuck out of it. I mean, it's a unique animation. You cannot mix it up with 4/4B. Go test it out. You will block both every time. There's no mix-up. The laugh itself is completely unique to this move. Use it for combos and nothing else. There is a gimmick with it that I should point out. If you do 3 A+B and then release, kind of like for those who play Virtua Fighter, like Akira's knee, if you release 3 A+B like in around 1-2 frames, you will do preparation A+B out of stance. It's really hard to do, and it's not worth it because people will still block it on reaction and still launch you for it. But if you like gimmicks, go waste a bunch of time learning a useless just frame.
All right.
That's all. I have nothing good to say about that move. I'm sorry. So then we have the other parts of prep, which are the movements. Preparation 4 impacts verticals. It does not impact low horizontals as it might look. I tend to use it more for the spacing more than the auto GI, just because if you're entering prep, you're generally, banking on them not killing you with something. And so I'd rather, reset the distance before doing a shadow evade than try and get the auto GI. Though there are certain characters with long-range verticals, like Siegfried, his 6B, you can use that pretty much on reaction against that. You get a free Prep K after that, nothing else. So, there's not really a great reason to use it. You do get a free Shadow Evade entrance afterwards, though, so that's always a nice thing. Try it out. You kind of have to learn the right range and the right time to use it, but it comes naturally, I think. And then we have Shadow Evade. Now, let me take a second to just explain. So with Raph, I have this philosophy of I want to try to run down the clock for all 3 rounds. In practice, it's not always going to happen, and you might, act uh, in contrary to that philosophy, but generally it's going to be because of the secondary philosophy I have, which is get into Shadow Evade. Shadow Evade is probably the best stance in the game, barring, character move list changing stances like Viola's or Valdo's. Like, as far as a stance goes, it's the best, I think. It leads to his best damage. It leads to amazing guard crush, and it leads to a bullshit almost safe low. So I mean, why would you not want to be in this stance? This is how Raphael ruins people's days. So first off, we have Shadow Evade. Just the movement itself, it's preparation 2. You can hold this, and this is going to be tech crouching through most of it. You can also, just use it to delay whatever option you're going to use. Something I should say about preparation and Shadow Evade, if you don't press anything, like you just, chill in preparation or Shadow Evade and don't press anything, and they do a high, Raphael automatically evades back into Shadow Evade. And it's very odd because he has some weird tech crouch properties where he'll actually tech crouch out of things and start moves. It's really hard to explain, but basically it does some janky shit if you don't press anything. So something to keep in mind if you're not absolutely certain. Just don't press anything. It also kind of gives you an option select where if you just want to do an empty prep and you have the intention of guarding and they do a high, you'll automatically go back into Shadow Evade anyway. And then you can do what you want. So that's something to keep in mind. Excuse me. All right, so Shadow Evade A, and then actual move proper. This is his best step kill. Like, bar none. It's long range, it's safe, it's only -6. +8, it gives you a back turn, and it's I-15. So even when you finally get into stance, you have a very, very fast move available to you. Generally, it's not what you want to be using if you go in, but the option is there if they start stepping around you. Now, what you do want to be using if you get into Shadow Evade is Shadow Evade B. Best move that he has. Like, there's no contest. This is such a great move. Plus on block, crushes in 10, leads to his best damage combos, 6-6B hold to prep A+B, 3-3K Bravage. Like, there's so many good combos. You also have to go check out the combo thread, but this is how he gets his damage. It can start wall combos. It can, and that leads to resets. There's so much good about this move. This should be your objective whenever you go into Shadow Evade. Whenever you go into preparation, you want to use Shadow Evade B, and you want to hit them with it so hard. That should be your philosophy with Raph in his stances. It's not always what you're going to use, just because you have to mix stuff up sometimes, but this is it. This is Raph. This is what you're playing him for, to hit people with Shadow Evade B. And to help that, they also gave him Shadow Evade K, which is a basically unseeable low. It's -13, which is pretty good for a knockdown low. You're going to get stabbed and twisted, but not much else. It's good if people are freezing up against Shadow Evade B, or trying to just guard it, which is stupid, but you have options. You have better options to be just guard, but if you want to play it safe, Shadow Evade K will take care of that. It's also good if they're on the ground. For example, 3-3K Brave Edge into 6BB hold. You have that free entrance into Shadow Evade. But if they're just rolling or they're sleeping, Shadow Evade K will, hit them out of sleeping, I guess. That'll wake them up. So that's his entire moveset.
I was going to say, Shadow Step was the end of your doc. So I guess really there's just two questions I have to sort of wrap it all up. First, how do you put all this stuff together? Like, what are you, I guess, going for? Like, do you play the runaway game most of the time, or what is your creme de la creme?
Like I said earlier, I kind of look at him from the lens of an actual historical fencer, and they're kind of moving in and out, trying to goad you into doing something. But then if, you find yourself in a situation where you don't have room to maneuver, or they're outranging you or whatever, and you find yourself, close up, then you have a bunch of cheap tricks to rely on. 3A, 2K, 6A plus G. I mean, they're basically, underhanded fencing tactics that people used. I mean, you can't grab sand and throw it in their eyes, but you can grab their balls and suck their blood. I mean, that's, basically as good as it's going to get in this game. And it does a pretty good job of handling people up close. So generally up close, you want to be doing, grabs, 2A, 3A, 2K. For me, I'm trying to, pester them enough to where either they'll guard and let me out, or they will try and get themselves out. That's generally what I'm going for. Certain characters love being up close too much for that, and so you really have to make a hard read and get a knockdown for those, like Pyrrha and Pyrrha Omega. Very, very powerful close-range characters. You just have to make a read and usually get a knockdown. Grabs will get them out of your face. 4K will get them out of your face. 4A sometimes, if there's enough room. But generally, they like being up close too much for them to just let you out, so you really have to fight to get out. Now, once you do get out, then you have all this excellent room to maneuver and use that entire long list of guard-crushing moves that are minus 16. Because you're so far out, most people are not going to be able to hurt you much, if at all. So you can really spam those with impunity. This is generally where you're going to be using preparation entrances, mid-range-ish, just because, you're safe enough to where you can use preparation 4 to back off. Shadow Evade is in the perfect part, or the perfect place, just because Shadow Evade B is hitting, Shadow Evade A is hitting, and Shadow Evade K can hit, depending on the opponent. You basically want to keep them at the very around 3B tip. That is roughly, maybe a tiny bit closer. That's around your mid-range. A little bit further back, though, you have 236B, of course, 66B, 66B plus K, those running moves. Somewhere from tip 236B to tip, let's see if I can, 3B. That's basically my comfort zone. Any closer, and you kind of want to start going back to 3A, 2A, that sort of stuff. Now, something that people talk about a lot on the forums when they're shitting on Raph and they have no idea what they're talking about is that, oh, he's a fencer. I can just step him all day.
Yeah, that was going to be the second question, because Jimbo, at the end of his write-up, made a point to address those quote-unquote, weaknesses, perceived weaknesses. And yeah, he talks about the supposed linearity. Yeah. I don't know how you'd pronounce that. I rarely see that word. Of his moves, as well as when he does make that read, how he doesn't get as good of what do you want to call it? Good at damage, or good of a result when he does try to step kill as other characters. So yeah, go ahead. Sounds like you already had something in mind.
Yeah, Jimbo actually addressed it very well. But I have a different philosophy on killing step with Raph most of the time. Just because I have such horrible luck with whiffing. If people want to step at, that comfortable range I was talking about with 236B and 3B, if they want to step around there, all I have is 66A. They know all I have is 66A. So why then, if they're stepping like retards and I'm watching them step, why then would I come in with the only move that could possibly hit them? You know what I'm saying? It just seems so, facile to do something. It's moronic. So instead, then, what I like to do, if they're, going to just step and step and step, I'll just hang out. If you have the life lead, there's absolutely no reason for you to go in if they're just stepping around like a moron. You're not going to tag them with anything. And if you do, it's going to be, 10 damage versus, 80, 90 damage if they duck. It's just such a stupid choice. Let them run around like crazy if they're at that range. There's nothing they can do to goad you into attacking. And if you're even further out, like close to full screen, 4B plus K builds meter on whiff very quickly. That's basically his Chun-Li palms for third strike. That's what you want to be doing to goad them if they're just trying to waste time, step around you a lot. And let's say they're stepping up even closer. So that's how you'd handle it if they're stepping, 2 through 6B range. Now let's say they're stepping, you're at 2B or 2A, 3A, close range. All the moves that you want to be spamming, 2A, 3A, 2K, grabs, they're going to track pretty well. But, you sometimes just want to stop them from being a moron. And, okay, the only thing you can really do to stop stupid people from being stupid is to punch them in the face. But obviously that's not an option during the match. So instead, if you really want to hurt them and make them say, okay, maybe I should stop being a fucking moron, he doesn't have anything that he can really do with his step kills aside from 4-4-AB. And it's very misleading just because it's only like it's only like 29 damage, not much. But you're basically giving a free entrance into Shadow Evade. And while they not really remember like how you got into Shadow Evade, like they'll remember that they got tagged with Shadow Evade B because they were stepping like a moron. So if they're really being morons up close, 4-4-AB hold is going to be your best bet. Or you can just take 2A over and over and over again. That usually does the trick. Maybe after the 4th or 5th time. So yeah, don't bother killing step at a certain distance, and 4-4-AB or 2A if they're up close and you really want to stop them.
Yeah, that is a pretty different approach, because I know for Jimbo, I mean, he makes a point to mention, he has the tracking tools. You just pick whatever direction you want to go. So yeah, he's trying to hunt out that step, figure out exactly where you're stepping, and make that read.
He's taking a bit more of a risk with the strong versus weak side stuff. When I kill step, all my other characters have something that kills it completely. And so with Raph, it sucks not having a strong one really outside of that point blank range. So, I'm just not even going to bother trying if they cannot goad you effectively, like if they don't have anything like a health lead or anything, why bother killing step? Like his step kills just are not intimidating enough to really warrant them to stop stepping outside of that point blank range. So yeah, I don't kill step. I just grab people a lot.
Lots of grabs. Gotta love the grabs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, man, I mean, I think we've done a pretty thorough job of going over this character. Was there anything that we didn't talk about that you think deserves mention?
I'm sure someone will let us know in the comments what we forgot, but I cannot think of anything.
Oh, we talked about every move, so there can't be much.
Say, hey, you missed his hidden just frame.
Yeah.
Like,
what? Something that leaves you negative $1 billion leads to 2 damage or something.
It'll be the one guy who wants to hear about Rising King. Yeah. I'm sorry, I have nothing for you, man.
But you can use it in this situation. Oh, funny.
Oh, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's all I got for for this character then. Usually we do the rant section. You've already been on here a couple times, so I feel kind of...
I've run out of things.
We've already
Life is too short to really be ranting all the time.
Well, at least for the same person, it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear, different people what makes them rage. But when it's the same person, it's like, oh, we know what makes Heaton angry. We don't need to hear it again. So other than that, before we go into the last little shout outs portion or whatever, I do want to let everybody know, since I think I've said this a couple times, but since we're getting to the end of the list, I really don't have anything planned for the SoulCast once we're done with these characters. I was considering maybe an SC2 thing if that catches on, but like the game has been out for so long and sort of everybody already knows everything about it that doing a podcast for it seems sort of redundant. But if there's anything else out there that you guys want to see or want me to do or whatever, just let me know and we'll see if we can get it done or get some race. Because I've been trying to rack my brain for ideas and I really can't think of anything. So if the tournament season picks up again, we might just keep doing interviews from the top players and whatnot. I was considering streaming, and I know a lot of people or a couple of people asked about. I did a couple videos that were sort of like recaps of the SoulCast or video game footage of what we were doing, and it takes forever to convert that and upload that to YouTube. But streaming, they kind of do all that for you and they save the video for you. So I might do something like that. But if there's something else that you guys can think of or want to see streaming or otherwise, just throw it in there. We'll see if we can get it done, get it on the front page or whatnot. So suggestions welcome. So other than that, that's it. So I'll give you the last word if you have anything you want to talk about or any shout outs or whatever.
One thing I'd like to pimp is SC Tier is doing an online tournament fairly soon. So keep your eyes peeled to the front page for information on that. Don't really have much more information than that, but I'll keep you guys posted. That's all I really have to plug, I guess. I have a Twitter now. I don't even know what it is. I think it's at... Wow. I don't even... that's how much I tweet. You guys aren't going to get anything great from following me. Though, do go follow Malice at Malice is Godlike. It's the best Twitter in the entire world. Definitely go follow that one. Oh yeah, at It's Heaton. So yeah, follow me, I guess, if you want.
Yeah, I feel sort of the same way. I rarely use Twitter. When I do, it's usually only to put up these episodes for this and both Tekken. And the only reason that I even have it is because someone specifically asked. They're like, "Hey, I use Twitter a lot. Can you do this?" I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Sure. And even then, I sometimes forget to do it. So.
I've used it to talk to fighting game developers and retweet whatever Malice is posting. Yeah, so follow me if you want, I guess. I'll try to update with SC Tier information and online happenings for that stuff. Other than that, I guess I got shout outs. Shout outs to Great One 1939 as usual.
I like how you say it.
How many times has that guy been? How many times has that guy been?
Quite a few times. He's apparently everybody's buddy. So.
He is. He really is. He's a great guy. He does a lot for the community. Shout outs to SC Tier, all the guys in that, just for keeping Soul Calibur alive. Shout outs to Eris, who I totally ripped off the format of the tutorial from his Enemigo tutorials from Tekken, which are a really good resource.
Yeah, really extensive. I know his whenever he does something like that, they're usually pretty lengthy. His Dragunov one is 3 hours or some shit like that. So,
boy, so much good information.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Shout outs to you, sir, for doing all of this for us. I appreciate it, and I'm sure many other people do. They just don't say anything because they're so shy.
You know, one thing that I find kind of weird, I don't know if people are just repeatedly going into the thread, but like every time I post up one of the SoulCasts on the front page, like it ultimately ends up getting like a few thousand views, but then the YouTube episode only gets like a couple hundred. Like, what are you guys doing? Are you just going in there and then seeing what people are typing and then coming out? Like, what are you doing? Why are you clicking on that so many times and then not actually listening to the episode? But that's the only thing that I find weird about the whole thing. Like, really, 5,000 views and like 300 listens? Okay.
Cool. It's like they see the front page title, the Bacon Cast. What's that? I got to go check that out. Oh, it's Nightmare. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's what it is. They're just checking it out, but it should. I don't know. I still can't explain it. I have some theories, but I don't know how to test any of them. So who knows? Cool. Well, that's all I got, man. Thanks again for coming on to the episode. And as usual, peeps, don't know who's next, but we only have a select few characters to choose from. So you probably have like a 20% chance at this point of guessing right. So yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get these done. Thank you for listening, and we shall catch y'all next time. Later.